After the storm update. Right now on the Weather Channel, your local forecast.
This WeatherScope is sponsored by Carpet and Rug Institute. It's soft, it's warm, it's home. New carpet. It just feels better.
This is WeatherScope.
Snow continues to fall in portions of the Midwest and Great Lakes region, and that's our top story this afternoon. Welcome to WeatherScope. I'm Mike Bono. For the latest conditions in that part of the country, let's join Bob Stokes in the Forecast Center.
It's a rough one across the Midwest. Thanks a lot, Mike. We've got blowing snow advisories continuing across a big chunk of the Midwest, as well as blizzard warnings for several counties in the west central part of Michigan as a big low pressure area moves toward the northeast, and it's still snowing in Chicago, and the winds are still blowing that snow around. Now, as we take a look at Chicago this morning, you can see what it was like for people having to drive to work. The heavy snow and winds spoiled the morning commute in Chicago this morning. People were delayed in traffic for hours, and some even gave up and headed home. And those who didn't drive had to endure the strong winds on L platforms around the city. Not a good morning to be outside, and it's still cold outside. Wind chill factors are in the bitterly cold range, and temperatures have been plunging around the Chicago area, starting out above freezing today. And as northerly winds continue to come in, we're looking at temperatures headed for the teens tonight. But in Gary, Indiana, the snow is blowing around, and we have lake shore warnings in effect along the Chicago shoreline, beach erosion, as well as flooding along Lake Shore Drive, a very good possibility. But this is the area in here where there are blizzard warnings. We could see 6 to 9 inches of snowfall across several counties across the west central part of Michigan, including Lake, Muskegon, Mason, and Oceana counties. There's a look at the snow coming down here. We've got even some freezing rain and sleet occurring in Kalamazoo right here, and in Houghton Lake we're looking at some blowing snow and getting up into Alpena as well. But as the low moves toward the northeast, this is the area of focus here where power outages have already occurred in west central Michigan. We have very dangerous traveling conditions in this area with the winds again blowing the snow around very strongly, and snow reaching down into Indiana and Indianapolis, as a matter of fact. There's Chicago. You'll notice this is the western edge of the snow. Now, even after the snow stops, it's still going to blow around, but later this afternoon, as this moves toward the east, the snow in Chicago will simply taper off to flurries, but the strong northerly winds still creating lake-enhanced snows on the lee side of Lake Michigan. There's a look at the radar that's showing the snow in Indianapolis. You've got to be careful, and in this area here is where we could see some more significant accumulations in the northwestern part of Indiana. Now, historically, going back in time, Union, Nebraska, 16 inches of snowfall. We've seen 14 inches at Creston, Iowa. Kansas City, Missouri, you had a couple of inches of snowfall. And one factor in all this are the temperatures. Again, with that Arctic air mass coming down, it's going to be a very cold one tonight, for example, in Chicago in the teens, and combine that with the blowing snow, it's going to create very low visibilities and whiteouts, but it's 27 degrees now in Chicago. Again, it was above freezing this morning. 15 in Minneapolis. Look at this, -6 in Minot, North Dakota. And as we take into account these ferocious winds, you can see them here anywhere from the 20s to the 30s and sometimes the 40s. As a matter of fact, at Meigs Airport in Chicago, they had a 62, you had a 62 mile per hour wind gust earlier today, and right now it's blowing out of the north at 29. But these are creating wind chill factors of 1 in Chicago, -15 in Green Bay, and so -19 in Minneapolis. So driving is not encouraged tonight. If you must travel for any distance in the upper Midwest, take a blanket along in your winter weather kit. Well, join the Weather Channel online at weather.com for further weather developments. Let's go back to the studio now with Mike Bono.
Well, rain and thunderstorms cover a large section of the Middle Atlantic and Northeast region today. Later today, those areas could even see severe conditions. Rain began falling this morning in Salem, New Hampshire. Commuters had to watch their driving as they hit ponding water on the streets. Vehicles hitting water at high speed and sending huge sprays into the air. Potentially dangerous situation. Hydroplaning, you could lose control of your car a lot more easily when you have ponding, even than when the road is wet. And you could go hydroplaning and spinning out when the road is wet, even if you're going about 50 miles an hour. So take care. It's a pretty rough situation. I was just looking at some flood statements, local storm reports out of Connecticut, several rivers and streams flooding, flood warnings for several counties, Massachusetts, and in Bergen County, New Jersey right now, in Rockland County, New York, right around New York City, flood warnings in those particular counties, a lot of ponding going on, a lot of rivers beginning to run out of their bank. This is a strong situation with warm air coming up from the subtropics, riding up and over a warm front, rising into the atmosphere, very mild and very rainy situation, and some snowmelt flooding probably going on in northern New England and New York State before it's over. Some dry air coming in from the west, but with that dry air, the temperature is popping up to almost 60 in Washington, 62 Philadelphia, at least temporarily drier. There's still a lot of humidity in the air. It's just the clouds are breaking up, and that will result in more thunderstorms. We're looking at 33 in Caribou, so even there, we've gone over to rain from any snow and sleet of earlier. The threat of strong thunderstorms along I-95 through the Jersey Turnpike and down toward the Baltimore-Washington Expressway, even severe potential, maybe damaging winds and or hail. Connecticut